Yeah, this is Bayman Rail. Chelmsford Prison, 1978, the end of 78, yeah. The prison burnt down. Just a quick thing about the prison, yeah. Going from a prison like Wandsworth or the Scrubs, or even when I was like 1074, when I wound up in Chelmsford Prison. Chelmsford Prison was the best prison I could ever have been in, mate. It was just unbelievable as a prison. Yeah, we done what we wanted to do. We got what we wanted to get. There was drinks, but what Chelmsford was, yeah, was a prison. You got to remember, in 1978, 79, there wasn't much bank drop. People couldn't go and pass over money from banks and all that. It's that, private cash and things like that. It was all cash. It was all done by registered letters and all that sort of thing, registered mail, yeah. So there's none of that quick on the from the bank and all that sort of thing, yeah. So you got to remember that in prison, especially like in Chelmsford, even Albany when I was there, that a lot of people you had to smuggle in money, yeah. So people would maybe give you, wasn't no £50 notes, it was either £10 or £20 notes. So people used to give you money, you should swallow it and paper and all that, go and hide it and all that. So there was a lot of money in them prisons, especially like in Chelmsford. I mean, I used to play cards 24/7. You got people with lots of money like Mickey Green. Mickey Green was multied up, Mickey Green. He's a multi-millionaire, Mickey Green. He had always bringing in money, Mick, on visits, Ronnie Bender there. Everyone was bringing in money to play cards. There wasn't on that credit thing. There was, but very rarely. And it'd always be like money put into your private cash by registered letter, by registered mail, but there was a lot of cash in there. So you can imagine everything was good in there. There was like eat what you want, drink what you want. There was, I mean, I've had comments from people saying never in a million years would there be drinking. Listen, let me tell you something. Where there's money, you can get anything, yeah. And I'm telling you, Chelmsford Prison, Ronnie Bender had everything in his cell. He had Scotch, Bacardi, gin, every drink you could imagine he had. Any cigarettes you wanted, he had cigarettes, cigars, everything. Everybody went to Ronnie Bender to get their bits and pieces, and believe me, let me tell you. But anyway, when we was down the gym, end of 1978, as you walk as you walk through the arches to go to the gym, on the right hand side, downstairs is the block. Upstairs is the nonces, the paedophiles. But paedophilia wasn't known, it was just nonce cases, yeah? Sex offenders. So they was upstairs, the gym was in front. It was only a tiny little gym, you know. Tiny gym, but the gym was in front. And there's about, I suppose, 30 of us in there training, people on the floor and all that, yeah? And we was training, and all of a sudden, you look up, and there was all smoke everywhere. It was like the lights went out, it was all smoky. What the fuck's going on here? And there was a fire. All the screws were panicking. You can imagine, this is you're talking about, I think it was like late early evening, I'm quite sure now. And it was still light outside, a bit light, it wasn't that light. And all the a lot of the screws had gone home. So you can imagine, maybe on the whole neck, there might have been 15 screws, maybe not even that many, yeah. So all the screws are gone home. So there ain't that many screws there anyway. So the screws now are telling people there's a fire in the wing, right? So we've all got to go. We've been told we've all got to go to the visiting room, yeah. People in the gym have got to go to the visiting room. A lot of other people went into the grounds, into the fields. A lot of people went elsewhere, but the ones in the gym were told to go to the visiting room, and a lot of the wing went to the visiting room, yeah? But so you can imagine that when we go into the visiting room, we want to go back to our cells to get our belongings. And you can imagine the panic stations there is, where people have left, they've got drugs in there, they got money in there, they got gold in there, things they've hid away from screws, yeah? So now they're panicking because a lot of them have got to go to the visiting room. A lot of them go to another big hall, yeah, and they're all panicking. When are we going back to ourselves? We've got to go back to ourselves to get our belongings. You ain't going back. You're going on a bus to Wandsworth, Brixton, the Scrubs, Pentonville. Even people were going out as far as Winchester and places like that. Calderley, Blundeston, Lewis. It was all going everywhere, right? And you can imagine, can't you, what was going in people's minds. In my cell, I've got, what, £500, £600 in money. I've got all my drink in there. I've got my gold in there. I've got my drugs in there. They're going to come along and find all that, yeah? But you're hoping, well, you're hoping now that the way things are, that the next going to burn down, they're going to get nothing, because now they're going to find all these things. But it's different finding it. I mean, my cell, I lost my record player, I lost my radio, I lost all my letters. They give me little bits and pieces back, only little bits, you know. Lost all your toiletries, you lost everything that you had in your cell, you lost, right? So you can imagine what other people lost as well. Because I wasn't no big time try potatoes, and I was just an ordinary person that trained 24/7 and was big as an house, yeah. And I had a lot of respect in there. So you can imagine what people like the Tibbses. Alan Dixon had already gone. He'd already gone, Alan. Frankie Fraser had already gone. You had Mickey Green was still there. Ronnie Bennett was still there. Charlie Ludlow was still there. There was a lot. Terry Millman was still there. Lou Swallow was still there. There's all them people that dealt with cash, drugs, paintings. You can imagine. Listen, there was paintings in that place that you could sell to a proper gallery, mate. There was people in there. I think the Moray brothers, I'm not quite sure they were still there, the Moray brothers, they had their own galleries when they come out. They were at Labatt Grove. They were fantastic painters, the Moray brothers, yeah. You had Lou Swallow. I mean, these painters are unbelievable. You sell these, just crazy. Terry Millman involved in the diamond dome thing. He died of cancer, but when he was at Chelmsford prison, he was a fantastic painter, mate. He could paint. There was people in there that could really put brush to paper. I mean, unbelievable, mate. Canvas and all that, you know. So they lost everything. You can imagine, can't you? The Nick's going to burn down. All the stuff in the Nick. I mean, there's people there going crazy, more about their medication than there was about stuff they left in the cell. They want their medication because at night time your meds come, they go, all about my medication. Well, the centre was below where it all set alight, because upstairs was the church where it all set light, you know, where it all set light. So down below that was the centre and all that. That's where it all went crazy. Burnt the gaff out, you know what I mean? And I remember seeing a picture of the middle of the centre and the governor's there with his dog looking up, and you can see my cell. My cell is still okay, do you know what I mean? But I lost everything, mate. I mean, I lost everything. I mean, more importantly, you lose your letters, you know? That's the most important part of it, your letters, your pictures, your photographs. I had photographs in there that I'd love to have shown today on my phones, you know what I mean? How big I was. Because in there we could have photos taken and all that, just take photographs of us, you know what I mean? And I'm gutted, you know what I mean, about that, you know? And I mean, imagine, seriously, you losing money in there, and all that money. Ronnie Bender lost everything, mate, and he sold all the drinks, cigars, cigarettes, everything. All these bits and pieces, his pictures, his paintings, everything. I don't know about the Tibbses, I don't, they lost. But everybody in there lost something, because the only people that are going to come in your cell is the screws. Once that fire is put out, because you've got to remember that everybody that was in that gym, and from our wing, I think, went into the visiting room. So the visiting room was jam-packed solid. Both rooms, yeah? 3 rooms in there. There was jam-packed solid. And not only was they jam-packed solid, but everybody is going mad about they want to get back to their cells to pick up all their private letters, all the record players, the radios, everything. You can imagine people going absolutely crazy. Now you're going to go to these prisons I'm telling you, yeah? So most of us, I had a couple of rows in with people that I had rows with in Chelmsford, so it was easy for them and me to get together, because we used to stay apart as much as we could. But when you're in a closed, confined space like the visiting room, I mean, you're next to touching each other, it's going to go off. It kicked off a few times, I had a few right-handers throwing here and there. I've got them on the chin as well, but I was the better one, better person. But you can imagine, now I was what? I don't know, 21 stone, 19, 20 stone, massive shoulders. My shoulders were huge. They couldn't even put me, in them days it was called a Black Mariah, a big van, black van, and the seats were in there was really tiny, each cubicle. They couldn't even get me in the cubicle where I was so big. Honestly, they couldn't get me in there, mate. So what they had to do, they put me in the middle of the aisle, handcuffed to a screw on a chair. How about that? Seriously, I'm not joking. It's mad. So when we got to Wandsworth, it was mad. I mean, I trod on the chief suit, that's another story. But when we got to Wandsworth and we got in reception and we started getting bits of clothes, I mean, you can imagine, that when you're in Chelmsford, you was getting all your clothes made, the best clothes you could ever have. All your clothes have been left there. All you got on is your gym stuff or stuff you just walking about with, but all your nice stuff is left there, so you lose all that. So when you get to Wandsworth, whatever you got on has got to be put in a box, and so therefore you get all that shit from Wandsworth, all that smelly clothes. I couldn't get a shirt to fit me, I was so big, but they got this double fucking massive shirt with about a 60-inch waist, and it just about fit me, but it wouldn't do up around the arms, But when we eventually got to our wings, we sent us to the wings. I was on the fours. Listen, let me tell you something. There was absolute pandemonium in that place, There's so many wings in it, if you know that. A, B, C, D. There was pandemonium, screws shitting themselves because there wasn't that many screws on. Same as in Chelmsford, there wasn't many screws on. But obviously, when we was at Chelmsford and we got into the gym, fire brigade, police, there must have been 90 police, well not 90, it was a load of police coming, so there's even more murder when they walk into the visiting room trying to tell us what to do. We were pissed off with the police in the beginning. You got the fire brigade panicking like anything because there's loads of people out in the yards. Who were the first people to go? Who was the first people to leave Chelmsford prison in buses? The sex offenders. Fucking mad, mate. They look after them before they look after anybody. The sex offenders. Listen, when we was coming from the gym to go to reception or go to the visiting room, you could hear the sex offenders screaming, burning, because that's where it was, nearly there, So they eventually got them out, and they got shipped out before anybody. They couldn't go anywhere. Where could they go? They couldn't go in the yard, they're going to get killed. They couldn't go and visit them, they're going to get killed. Where can they go? So they got them straight up, put straight in the wagon, gone. But when we did eventually get to Wandsworth, a lot more shipped out here and there, right? When we got to Wandsworth, there was pandemonium. There was, mate, you wouldn't believe the aggro. You can imagine being in a single cell. A lot of them have been in single cells for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, They got everything they want. No smells. They got toilet. They might have a bucket in there with a pot. Very rarely do they use that to do anything in, but maybe a wee now and again, because they've got all day long you open up. You obviously at dinner times you're shut, but all the other times you open up so you can use the toilets and the showers, so you're clean, right? You can imagine going to Wandsworth, mate, where you've got a piss pot, you've got 3 in a cell, stinking, you've lost all your clothes, you're going to get this shitty food, there's murders in there. You've got people chucking out beds, chucking out cupboards, all onto the nets. You got people throwing people out the cells. Honestly, I ain't joking. It was like a riot in there. There's all fucking things going over the landing, tables, chairs. I mean, it was mad. You can imagine. what it was like. You got everything you want, right? Everything you want in prison. I couldn't have got a better prison anywhere, mate. You got whatever you wanted, you got, yeah? Relax visits. You could even eat on a visit. You could have bottles of wine on a visit. You could drink a bottle of beer on a visit, a lager, anything you wanted on a visit, but only one bottle or one this and one that, yeah? But you could eat and drink on a visit. The governor in Chelmsford Prison was the best governor ever. And the chief was a blinder. They just let things go because they wanted a nice, calm prison. So when you got on a visit, thank you, Fraser used to eat chickens and big steaks and all that, and rows with his mum about him going to give the bones to the governor's dogs, and it was a joke. But the mother go, no, you ain't think, and all that. But all them things, all them memories that I've got from this, sitting next to Frank, talking to Ronnie Benders and the Tibbses, it's fantastic memories, mate. And then after all that, yeah, to lose it all over a fire and go to places like Wandsworth, yeah. I mean, the scrubs, they reckon there was calling and screws from all round the gaff to try and calm the Nick down, because when they was coming through, it was all on the radio. Everyone was screaming and shouting. You can imagine what it was like, can't you? It was mad. Pandemonium, mad. I mean, I was in Wandsworth, yeah. I was in Wandsworth. When I went up on the force, I was in a two-up, yeah. Even two-up, stinking cell, piss pot, full up with whatever it was full up with, go and get your water. I mean, was going absolutely crazy. But the worst ones, were the ones on the ones and the twos downstairs, yeah, where they was chucking out mattresses, chucking out, get him out my cell. And we only want to be here by ourselves. You can imagine. They're supposed to be in a cell 2 up or 3 up, yeah? They just come from a single cell, mate, with everything they want. And then they're put in a cell with that piss pot. People stinking in the cell. You've gone through all that. They've done 10 years, some of these. I've done what? I think I've done about 8 years. I'm not quite sure. 9 years, 8 years. You know, in single cells. And that fire, mate, caused murders. Caused absolute murders. Anyway, this is Bang Bang Ray Hill. I'd like to do a part 2 of this, because it is a part 2, a bigger part 2. And I'll do a part 2. This is part 1 of this, yeah? Chelmsford Prison burning down, yeah? Have a nice day, yeah? Bye-bye.